Welcome everyone for the Interfaith Communities United for Justice and Peace. This is Friday morning.
Steve Rohde, chair of this wonderful group. We've been at this work for 23 years, meeting every Friday. That's over 1,000 webinars with wonderful guests like the one we have today, all under the motto that religious communities must stop blessing war and violence. Personally, I'm up here in Sebastopol, California, in Sonoma County, active with Indivisible here, and staying active with Bend the Arc, a Jewish Partnership for Justice, Death Penalty Focus, and the Black Jewish Justice Alliance. Welcome.
I am reflecting today about wonder, about sensing of awe, about the experience of miracles. I came across this morning a quote from Pope Gregory that set off these thoughts. He said, "All men wondered to see water once turned into wine, or every day the earth's moisture being drawn into the root of the vine is turned in by the grape into wine, and no man wonders. Full of wonder then are all the things." These words brought back into me, the need to listen again to Dan Fogelberg's Magic Every Moment. I thought of playing it for you, but I didn't want you to miss out on the lyrics by being enraptured in this music. So instead, I'm going to read you some of it. The song opens with a narrative about a discovery and then goes on to tell us, "On a high and windy island, I was gazing out to sea when a long-forgotten feeling came and took control of me. It was then the clouds burst open and the sun came pouring through. When it hit those dancing waters, in an instant, all eternity, I knew. There's a magic every moment. There's a miracle each day. There's a magic every moment. Oh, won't you let the music play? Oh, won't you let the music play?" When I think of miracles, a certain experience always bursts into mind over the half century since I lived it. I was walking through a sudden light snowfall across an empty parking lot. My eyes were pulled down to where I couldn't see the buildings on either side, but I could see the vast expanse of wet blacktop before me. It seemed in that moment that the whiteness flying through the blackness was not snow floating over wet blacktop, but rather stars flying through the dark sky. And I was walking through the universe. And suddenly my soul exclaimed, "Oh God, did you do this for me?" Then there was a time I was walking down a dirt path and a spider suddenly fell on its drop line, stopping a foot or two directly in front of my eyes. We both stayed motionless for some time. I cannot say that I experience miracles every day, but the times when it happens, they stay with me. Like when Paula and I stood silently in the redwoods, or when a raccoon and I suddenly encountered each other in the big city and we stared into each other for some awesome moments. But sometimes it's just from being startled on a walk by a stunning flower bush or plant that somebody cultivated between the sidewalk and the curb or on their land, or even a clump of wildflowers that cultivated themselves after a long rain. There are, of course, miracles of the human sort, like when I'm in a crowd so much larger than expected, full of people gathered to communally embrace peace and justice. Luther Vandross says, "What is a miracle? Love is a miracle. Every time you care, a miracle, it happens somewhere." There's a miracle of language, which not only lets us know the souls of people near or far, but lets us receive feelings felt centuries past. And yes, music can be a miracle when it transports us into euphoria. Fogelberg captures all this in his opening verse of Magic Every Moment. I awoke this morning to a shattering sound, and I went downstairs and I found these shards of glass strewn all around. And there upon the floor, I found this poor broken dove. And it made me realize how very fragile is this life that we so love. I came back up to bed and I held you so tight and I prayed up to the Father. Oh, I prayed with all my might that he'd always keep you with me and he'd always keep you safe. And when I went downstairs, I found that dove had somehow up and flown away. There's a magic every moment. There's a miracle each day. There's a magic every moment. Oh, won't you let the music play? Yes, let the music play.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Carol Francis. Introduce our speaker. Thank you. Signing off for until the program's over. Bye.
No worries. So in the chat, there's a link tree to a lot of the different things that we do, and some of the authors and some of the directors of movies that have done things, done programs for us. So you can take a look at that, and we do monthly donations. You can do a donation all at once, and it helps us stay out of trouble. Helps me stay out of trouble. Everybody else is fine. Being being somebody who grew up in Southern California in East LA, I've always been aware of the Theatricum Botanicum, and being a theater kid when I was growing up, we always had a chance to go to these things, and it was a great time to be growing up in LA because you had the Topanga Fiddle Festival and stuff like that. The idea of outdoor theater and the idea that you can do the old Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland thing. Hey kids, let's put on a show, and have that kind of community is something that a lot of places just don't have anymore because either the economics have changed, the people putting it on have changed. But what's great about the Theatricum Botanicum is that there's not only the respect of the works of great artists like Shakespeare and other artists, but also working with newer playwrights and reimagining pieces that have been performed in a new light and in a new context. So I am very, very glad that I'm able to introduce Ellen Geer, who's the artistic director for the Theatricum Botanicum, and please, again, thank you very much. And if everybody else can go on mute, that would be wonderful. Thanks.
All right. Hello. What a wonderful organization. I'm embarrassed I didn't know about you sooner. I'm the producing artistic director at the Will Geer Theatricum Botanicum, and we're going into our 52nd year. I can't believe it. And I know that you have a whole slideshow that our PR lady put together, which will help me. And at any time, please interrupt me and ask any questions, because this is off the cuff to you about our beautiful space that serves LA. And what we're especially proud of is our educational work to the young people in LA. That's pop. He was an extraordinary human being that I will love forever, and I know many people love forever. He had great guts. He got us through a terrible period called the McCarthy period that smells like today. And when he was finally making a headway from working in New York, he brought us all out to LA on some film or another. And he began working and doing very well, and then the McCarthy period happened, and we bought a trailer, a little old trailer, and he put us all in the trailer and the car, and we crossed the United States of America because that's the way he wanted to go to court. We pulled out of school. It was wonderful camping and talking and really being close to the family. Because after the blacklist, everything fell apart, of course. But that moment is like a jewel in all of the family's heart. Then we came back to LA, and we were red diaper babies, my brother and my sister, and my mother, who was. I don't know if you all ever knew of Ella Reeve Bloor, who, yes, she was a communist, and she was very, very strong in her period of life. I've got this wonderful picture of her. I'm sorry I didn't include it, of her speaking at Madison Square Garden after Sacco and Vanzetti were in jail and going to be put to death. I know that online you can get her book. I want to write a play about her. I've been working on that. And so the background that was gifted to me by the extraordinary people in my life, it's just an honor to be a Geer. And so then my mother bought the land for only $10,000 up here in Topanga, long time ago. There was no city water then, and we were well water. It was really rough, and we had no money, and Pop built the Geer Gardens. And the people who would give him work at the time were people in the community, in the acting community. And we would all pile in the truck because Papa never learned to drive. And we would go and we would garden these rich people's homes who would pay us. And I finally found out why, would pay us by cash only because they wouldn't write a check that included his name. It was very fearful time in Hollywood. That's what it was like then. It was very, very rough to go through that period. And now I find here at Theatricum Botanicum, the roughness. I see it again, but in a different view. I'm an older woman now, and just holding together a group of people like you are doing is vital to get through this period, because you have to have other people to give you guts to ride through it. I know myself with this beautiful organization that has bloomed with people where we serve the LA Unified School District kids. And, people will say, oh, well, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I will say, the important thing now is for us to keep together as a group. And our work is through our art. It's through what we give out to the people. If you want to go rally, you go rally, which I do, speak out where you want to speak out, which one does. But when you're here, we are doing our work to help get through this period, which we will get through. It's just that goddamn pendulum came back. You have to protect each other. I don't know. So that's my feeling about getting through a period like this, That's my mom, Herta Ware, granddaughter of Ella Reeve Bloor, who was our sunshine. And after my father passed, she held us together and helped support the growth of Theatricum Botanicum. I myself, during the period, I became a professional actress and worked all the all the different rep groups around the country, ACT, just wonderful period of flush period of theater, which has gone away now, I'm afraid. And so every community had their theater. So that's what I was brought up with, and that's what I understand, and that's what I like to do here. How theater to me is education, is the two things, education and theater, need to be together. When corporate theater came into view, they would push the education aside. You know, that was the little group that they raised money for and helped go do things for the kids. But ours is unified. It is just as important. All of our actors have become teachers. We go into schools, and to watch a 5-year-old recite Shakespeare is extraordinary, because it gives them not only their brain a lift, which they have found out scientifically, that Shakespeare, reading it, speaking it, learning to understand the stories, raises your brain. And so that's why it's so important for us. But that's Pop, that's Mom, beautiful, incredible people. And boy, was I lucky to come out of their loins. This is Theatricum Botanicum. In the early days, you'll see us dirt floor. We had railroad tie seats that leaned to the left, which I always enjoyed. And there you'll see us all working on the ground from the very beginning. It was just, we would gather people, you know, there might be, go to the post office in Hollywood, and we would look at, and suddenly there was this tall actor who became quite famous on TV, and we just saw him looking very morose. We'd say, "Are you an actor?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Well, do you want to come out?" That's how we gathered our first actors. Because we found coming to LA that actors didn't know how to speak. They didn't know how to to project their voices. They didn't understand rhetoric, which is how you win an argument. And so we began an Academy of the Classics, as well as every weekend putting on our Shakespeare plays. Now, always a part of our work is Americana. There's Pop. There's Mom, there's my sister, gorgeous sister Katie there with the red flaming hair. And there's Peter Alsop, who I am married to, an incredible singer, songwriter. And I don't think you can see me there. Oh yes, I'm there next to my sister. We're doing the Woody Guthrie story. Woody Guthrie was an extremely important part of my father's life. It was when Woody started to lose control with Huntington's chorea, and it was the Huntington's chorea. It's the one that's spelled with the CH, not the K, which was back in the 50s what was going on in the world. And since Woody was there, and after his death, it meant a lot to Pop. So he put together a story of Woody and the family. Every 2 or 3 years we do it at the theater, and it's just in celebration of who he was and how he affected. I mean, I've noticed at the rallies we need more singing. We've got to start doing that more, and because that's really what lifts people when you're marching and walking. We now have put Woody Shack, where he stayed in the 50s, to a museum. I just thought it was important, and we raised funds through a wonderful woman, Sheila Kuehl, who was our supervisor, and I just couldn't believe that she helped us get the money. And in that museum, which I hope you will all come to, is the story of the growth of Theatricum Botanicum. We have some of the blacklisted actors who came up during that period, Virginia Farmer, Flora Robeson, all these people who had no place to work. And that's what we did at the Geer Gardens. I remember Juan Hernandez, he was playing God up in the tree we were doing. And my little brother tripped over the electric wire. And here he was, he didn't have it memorized. So he just kept saying, "Let there be light, let there be light, let there be light." And they put somebody put the cord back in, and we went on. It's always been a a wonderful place to work. And after I worked many of the reps around the country during my young life, and I just don't want to go out to corporate theater anymore. I find it very hard. It's different values, you know. It came around when I was working at the Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis, you know. It's nonprofit theater, you know, which is always to me was a way for people to give money and you know, and fix their taxes accordingly. It's always bothered me, you know, that we aren't back to through the work with our teachers, our staff, everybody, you know, because it's the kind of theater that we used to have, and it's got to come back because it is the most healing place for people to sit together. And the breath, you can sometimes feel breath, eyes, you can watch when they're not engaged, you can watch when they're engaged, you can see things happening to them. It's not like this digital world, you know. And anyway, that was the Woody section of our life, and it's still going on. And I'd love for you all to come up and see the museum. We have, you know, handwritten letters from Woody that when he wrote to the family, because Pop really brought him to where he was. You know, he wanted to come to New York and get famous like Pop. And I do have a wonderful Woody story. When, if you'd like to hear it, we put it in our Woody show. He was staying, Mama had just had my oldest sister, one baby, and they were staying in this tiny apartment because it's hard to get work as an actor. And Woody arrived, and he wouldn't take a bath, and Mom was getting very upset because she had between the diapers and Woody's long johns. So my father picked him up one day and poured some Pine Sol into the tub and pushed Woody in order to keep peace within his own family's life. They were close, they were good friends, they traveled the country, you know, and Pop always did. Walt Whitman and Mark Twain were his heart, besides being an extraordinary gardener. Because of him, we always had food on the table. Some way or another, he would make it grow. That's Pop, and that's the past. If that's all right, you can go on. There's the first company we ever had. That sign, Topanga Theatricum Botanicum, I actually carved out years and years ago, and we still have that sign. And there you'll see Pop in the middle and all the family and my kids. And those are the Ben-Hur gates, which were given to Pop. They're long gone now, but for a while they were the entrance to the theater. But between the rains and the fires and the mice and the termites, they're gone now. We can go to the next one. That's all the beginnings of Theatricum, dirt stage. That's the sign now. You see, we've kept it. And wherever we went, when Papa and I were doing a lot of repertory theater around the country before Theatricum began, we would try and build a Shakespeare garden because his background in horticulture was quite incredible. We all had to learn the Latin names of plants, and which was fun, which was a lot of fun. One of my favorite things was to go to the nursery with Pop, and he would just talk in Latin, and I'd just smile and walk around and see all these beautiful, beautiful plants. The garden is still there. We have a new gardener who has the same, gardeners are wonderful people. They have the same heart because they're dealing with the land. And so we have a new man named Tom Haydick, who understands all the Latin names, where plants come from, but he's also not afraid of just, you know, some people get very into, you just got to have native plants and all that sort of thing. He says, no, we're all immigrants. So I love it. We're not that strict anymore. So that's the garden. We can go to the next one. This here now is our area where people gather to eat. The box office was built by one of our board members. That wonderful tree stage, which it hasn't become home yet. That's Peter Ossoff built that. We had that beautiful eucalyptus tree, which is its base. Eucalyptus trees drink water, they're selfish. So I remember when in the 50s, no, it was probably in the 70s. They gave everybody, the county gave everybody eucalyptus trees, not knowing that that's what they do. And they are very destructive in an oak forest, which we have. The trees behind you see are the oak forest. It's an extraordinary area in Topanga Canyon. My father always said that there is the water that comes up from the Sierra to feed, because as you drive along PCH, which you'll be able to do soon, they say by the end of May, you look at the other canyons. Our canyon is so lush because it has all this water, and why we survived in the 50s with just wells. We didn't have city water. That little stage up on top, Peter Ossopp built, because I love to have people go up there and announce things. And the ladder, I love it. And this is where people gather, part of the grounds. It's a gorgeous place if you want to come. And anybody who's a writer, you can come up during the day, find out if the grounds are clear, and just write. I love going there and just sitting there and writing when nobody's around. And it's just the beautiful birds and the smell of the oaks. You can go to the next one, please. That is, that's now our native garden area that one of our board members did for us. He's got all the native plants in one area, and he built us this fountain. It's just a place to come. I probably should go over. This year, we're very, very excited. We've done, Tennessee Williams. It's not just Shakespeare. We try and pull the great writers that can help stimulate people to just have a time to relax, a time to think about the material they're seeing. We're very selective. I mean, one of the hardest jobs for me is it takes me a long time to figure out what will be best to put on, in an organization like this. And I always look at the world, and then I look at the society that's going on in the United States, and then I close it down to what's happening to us right here. And then I think of our company who could shine to help make what we select fly and reach people. And so it's sort of in that order that I've found that works. And this year we're very excited to bring John Galsworthy, late 1800s Nobel Prize winner writer that most people don't know about. He was along he was around the same time that Bernard Shaw was. And of course, Bernard Shaw, with his language, took precedent over this man. This man was really more like Ibsen. He went into your soul and knocked it around in a good way to think. And I'm excited to present his play Strife. Many people would say, "Oh, that's not going to sell," and that happens often. But to me, it's an extraordinary piece of work. It's about the very end of a strike. And when it was written with a tin company in England, the boss versus the workers, and the new union man trying to make them all somehow come together and work and go forward. But I have moved it to Pittsburgh during, it was during Carnegie's time, the big steel strikes, but I didn't want to be specific to Carnegie. I wanted it to be larger than that, include all the different people who need to come together now, and how important the unions are to support workers. And this is a great piece. It delves deep into human beings, how to get through a difficult period. And that's why I selected that one. We have the Seagull, Anton Chekhov's The Seagull. That's the box office. I hope you'll come. Anton Chekhov's Seagull is an extraordinary play. And I've moved it, I didn't used to have the guts to do it, but I've moved it to the 1970s, which to me was the me generation. It was right after the 60s. And it was also the time that climate change, they called it something else then, one of you probably know, was just kind of whispered about and talked about. And so I've made the young writer in the play, talk about the end of the world and what will happen and what could happen to us. And nobody would believe him, including his star-based mother. What I mean by star-based is she was a famous actress in legit theater and had moved to Hollywood because musicals had come into America. I mean, musicals are our gift to the theater, and she couldn't sing, so she'd come to Hollywood in order to continue her fame and her lack of care about her son or understanding of her son. And it's good for now, because we have so many people who don't understand what's going on. And I hope eyes will open a bit with that. Then we have Wine in the Wilderness. We've always, our inclusion in, there's some of our actors, that's actually the space that you could see. Yes, Rick, just keep bringing them along. That's after a Shakespeare play. There's our audience and our wonderful space that is covered by oak trees, the California live oak, which is very similar to the English oak in England. So Wine in the Wilderness is written by Alice Childress. For those, I don't know how many people know her as a playwright. She's an extraordinary playwright. We've done her work before, and I found this play, and we have some Black artists in our company who I'm devoted to, and I think they are devoted to our work here. And a wonderful man named Gerald Rivers has been with us since the beginning. He now he works at Agape. He does drumming circles all around the LA area. He works with young people. He learned how to teach with us, and he's spread it out around LA. Wonderful human being. He'll be directing Wine in the Wilderness. We're very excited about that. And then my nephew, they all went to Europe and studied music, and they've been working on interdisciplinary works. And this year they're going to be working on something about the Native Americans and the Spanish. And what they do is they have classical music as well as dance and the spoken word. That will be 6. Our Shakespeare for this year is Much Ado About Nothing, which I think is very important this year. Everybody loves to think of it as light. I think it's one of those plays, it's after a war. People don't ever really realize that. Much Ado is after a war. And these are soldiers coming back home. So I moved it to the Civil War. And so they're leaving the area, and the 2 brothers fight in there. One was a rebel soldier, one was a Yankee, and which happened often in families. So that's their little tough nut that they have to get through. The thing that happens after a war, the excitement and the getting back together is I call it quidnunc. It's a word that I found. It means gossip. It means, and this is what happens, the height of these soldiers coming back into a community. They cause this furor, the young people are looking for love because the men have been away all these things that happen after a war. And it almost destroys love because it's so vicious. And quidnunc, to me, what can happen within a community? I know whenever we begin a company and we have new young actors who are wanting to begin their lives in theater, it's always the biggest thing for me to say is, don't gossip. If you have a problem, talk to us. These are the people you can talk to. Don't gossip. It creates an unhealthy community. And so that's what I've always been working on. There must be another picture. Is there another picture? Oh, that's Woody Shack. That's what it looked like. That's where Woody stayed. he burnt his hand there and he started to shake, and everybody thought it was from that, but it was actually Huntington's chorea, which is passed on from the mother to the son, I gather. There you go. There's the inside. Over here on the right side are all the old folk singers. In the beginning, there's floor ropes and all there. This over on the left is, that's a bookcase. I found that for $35 on the street. And we put a lot of our old books, is where I'd like to pass on whatever I have for the company. There's a video that was put together by one of our young artists, and it tells the story of our beginnings and shows a lot of our pictures. You can sit there and press the button and it tells it all. Oh, there on the screen now, see, we're in our 4th generation of family there. I'm playing the older mother, and there's my daughter Willow, who will be taking, she's in the middle, a redhead, she will be taking over the theater. We have been working together for the past 3 years with that direction. She's extraordinary. She's so much smarter than I am, and I know we'll keep this theater going. And then that's my sister Melora, the two of us who have built this along with an incredible staff. So that's what the Woody Shack is turned into. There's that's I call it the tiring house. That was in order to keep building in safety, to keep them from shutting down. We'd go to these meetings, and my mother would sit next to me, and I'd say, "Mama, if I hit your right knee, cry. If I hit your left knee, shout out how important we are," because there was nothing like her voice. And that's how we got through some of these terrible meetings. And in order to exist as an organization, I mean, this theater is over a creek. That tiring house was built by a musician up here. That was the big thing, the beginnings, just getting the seating in from railroad tie seats to now. We have lovely redwood seats with backs and cushions, and it's heaven right there playing. That's my sister up on the balcony. It's crazy up there. Equity would never allow that today. And then down below, I'm doing Prospero. We did the Tempest together, which was I think that was back in 2007 or 8. I'm not sure, but that's the theater and what you sit and look at. That was when we did Moby Dick. That's Michael and Dane Oliver and. Quigqueg, wasn't that it? Quigqueg is what he played. Extraordinary actor who walked in one day and he read something, and I said, "Oh my God, please come." And he played Oberon for years and years and years. Wonderful actor, wonderful writer, wonderful singer. And Dane Oliver came out from up north, great country, and he now works in TV. And Moby Dick was quite something to turn into a play. I can only tell you that. That is a huge novel, but it was an important novel at the time. And again, Gerald Rivers played the part of the captain. Yeah, that was Moby Dick, one of our originals. Up there, we're showing you Peter Pan, which we did last year. You see the rights for Peter Pan became open in 24. So I took the work of Barry and a lot of his different plays, and I took his words, because his mind was a zoo, incredible zoo of him, of thinking. He never had children himself, but he helped bring up a family, and so I did it by having Wendy. I know they've done this in the films too, but having Wendy, my daughter played Wendy, tell the story to her kids, which she did every night. And then her kids wafted away and became the story. Again, 4 generations were on the stage, which was quite exciting. My little grandson was in it, as well as my daughter. And right here, you'll see the beautiful mermaid, the mermaid, and the boys, the lost boys, watching her up in the, yeah. This was from Winter's Tale, Shakespeare's Winter's Tale. A young actor came from the East Coast named Max. There he is, Max. He grew up with us now, out of college. He now is an extraordinary teacher and actor. We sent him over to Debbie Allen's organization. He's become one of their favorite acting teachers. We're very proud of that. The man kneeling there is Aaron Hendry, who, when I was teaching at UCLA, acting the classics, one day this young man with long red hair down to his bottom walked in, and I thought, oh my God, look at this creature. And he started to speak lines of Shakespeare, and I invited him right away up to our organization. He has been with us since. Both of these beautiful men have families now. They have brought their children and their nursing mothers to our rehearsals in order to not have to worry so much about the huge expense it is in order to have children and get babysitters. We've always had that part of our family of actors. In the background, you'll see different age actors, and you'll see young actors, and we're just very proud to have it. Winter's Tale was a wonderful production. Thank you, Rick. That's great. Is there anything else? Tell me when I'm to stop or questions. There's my beautiful daughter, Willow. And that is our production of Much Ado About Nothing. She's playing Beatrice. And Aaron Hendry, again, who has been with us forever, is playing Benedict. The way they have, I've put this play on 2 or 3 times in my life. The way they have approached this is so new. It's so fresh. And it's and it shows what happens when you have repertory theaters, which means actors work together. Always bringing in new people, but working together. The man, the woman, but he's playing a man. In the back there, he's looking off in the distance. He has on a vest. That's Amoria. Amoria came to me as Frank Widener. He had been working at the local school, and we've nurtured him through the entire change. They are now a she, and we're all going through the process together. She is an extraordinary teacher and now runs our school days programs and our classroom enrichment programs. School days is where we have 300 kids come in a day. They have classes all morning taught by our teachers. Also, the new actors learn how to teach because that's important to us. And our classroom enrichment is for those schools that usually can't afford, but we go into their schools and we bring programs like Black History, La Raza, which is about the Latino. We bring in Shakespeare for them to actually act Shakespeare, or we bring in pieces for them to see. And this person, Amoria Widener, has kept this program alive. We've had other people in the past, run it, but I'm very proud of the change that this person has gone through, and they've been safe with us, and it's beautiful. Are we done yet? There's Max. There's Max, and there's a young person who came to us and was in we have programs called Prep and Apprentice. The Preps come in new every year, and they are our fairies. They learn about marketing. They become part of our camps. We have a summer camp every year. If you have any young people, beautiful summer camps. We start them also at age 4 and 5, a very young nursery camp. And then we have our adult academy, where people who have always wanted to learn more about Shakespeare can come. It is not just for the professional actor at all. because the humanity of Shakespeare is something, that's why he lasts. Why does he last? Because he understands human beings, and the excitement of that elevated language, to begin to learn and understand it just makes you a stronger human being. Whenever I was upset or nervous about something, my father used to say, "Oh, Ellen, just go read Shakespeare. You don't need a psychiatrist." And I try and pass that on because it's true and it's cheaper. That's Max playing Oberon, and that's young Chris, who came to us as a prep. He came out of college. He had been wounded by people just being mean to him. Not good background in theater, and this is a remarkable young man. He's a preacher too, from his background. He now is starting a young people's family fun days, which is something that we always had, because if you bring in young people and parents, that's your audience for the future. And Peter Alsop began it. It was beautiful, my husband. And he would bring in folk singers from all over the country, and they would put on shows for kids, you know. And he's now created something, and we're going to bring that back this year. I'm very proud of that. Is that the end? Are we all done? We're all
Yep.
done. Have I talked enough?
Not for me. Uh,
Questions if you'd like. Hi, Mom. Hi, Pop. Aren't they beautiful?
let's see. No, this is great. Thank you very much. I did put a link in the chat for the theatricum. So, and the new season is starting up in June, right? So,
Oh, yes, June, and the road's going to be open. We've been trapped. I've actually loved it. It's so quiet up in the canyon, but it will turn into a thoroughfare again. The road will be open by the end of May, which will be very helpful, the Pacific Coast Road, because it's, our parents are all going nuts up in this community. They had to go all the way around the one. It was just a murder. So it is now open as of end of June. End of May, excuse me.
oh, great. Why don't we, I think we can go to questions. Steve, you had your hand up.
Sure. Ellen, thank you so much. I just sat here with your wonderful telling of the story of that beautiful place and your family. I 3 years ago moved up here to Sonoma County, and I regret. I've been to your theater several times, but now I regret I didn't go even more while I was in LA. And I'm sure people on this screen who are lucky enough to live in Southern California really should make it a habit to watch your program, your listing of your new plays and adaptations, and take full advantage of it. The question, and we have over a half hour now for comments and questions. Would you take a few minutes, expand on what you already said, especially in this moment, in this political moment we're living in? But it seems that theater and art have always responded to political moments. And what is the power of art to move people? We have many ways of stimulating people, educating people. There are our formal education, our lectures, television, but theater and has a special power. There's something about the immediacy of it, the physical presence, but there's a kind of speaking truth to power through theater and art. And then finally, in my framing this, the blacklist that your dad went through and so many others. I had the pleasure of meeting Ring Lardner Jr. once. He was honored by the ACLU, and I presented the award to him, and he was Amazing. But my point is that blacklisting shows how powerful books and the arts are, because that's what authoritarian governments understand. They understand the power,
Oh
which is
yeah, he's sitting on the board. They're sitting on the board of the Kennedy Center. It's
there
unbelievable.
you go. So
Unbelievable.
take a few minutes, expand on that, maybe anything about your dad's struggle and how you see the power and force of theater and art today.
Well, I hope other people, Jasmine, would you pipe in? Other people would talk about it with me. I just know because I was a red diaper baby. And I remember one of the most extraordinary things for me was there was a man who was writing about the blacklist. I've done a play called When the Dark Cloud Came. And it was very interesting because I had to ask my family, is it okay? Because it takes years. I mean, even to this day, they mark you. The one story I remember so well is I was only 17, 18, and I was trying to get a job, and I went in, and it was Elia Kazan, and I was doing Shakespeare. I was playing a fairy in Stratford, Connecticut, Shakespeare Festival, and I went in and I had my little resume and my picture and my hopes. It was for Splendor in the Grass. And I walked in and the lady said, here, this is Miss Geer to see you, Mr. Kazan. And I was standing there and he turned bright red in the face and he backed up and he sat down and looked down. And I didn't know what to do. I'd never had an interview like that before. And then I said, hello, and then there was he put his head up and he said, how's your mom and dad? And I didn't know. I wasn't aware, but I remember when I asked about the blacklist, Papa said, go read Ed Bellamy's Utopia. I don't know, he gave me some book to read, because they didn't talk that much about it because we were living it. We were ostracized. We lived in parks. I learned how to steal. My older sister and I, when we were alone in Las Vegas and there was no food and there was my baby brother and the family had split up and we had a routine. We would go into the grocery store and my Katie was beautiful and buxom. It was hardest for her because she was a teen during this terrible period. She would put the food under her sweater and I would look and check the aisles. They didn't have mirrors then. And I remember that. I mean, I still live with that shame. And there's a big pool, but they wouldn't let us in. We would sleep there at night. There were a lot of homeless people there. It was the beginning of homelessness during that period. And how we would sleep behind the casinos, because my stepfather was a chef and he knew how to cook. And it was just it was a hard time. And society was mean. About people who were human and just wanted to pass on the gifts that they had and the care about humanity that they had. Screw the 50s, I say. And then during the interesting thing is about who was the head of SAG then. I don't know if you all know, it was Ronald Reagan. And that was one of the reasons why actors were so beat up. So we all ended up going back to theater, and John Houseman, who was a gift, my father, he did not get blacklisted, and he took my father in at the Stratford Shakespeare Festival, and as always, we went as a family, and we all worked there. Yeah, it was a very hard time, and I pray to God we don't go through anything like that again.
Ellen,
Maybe yes.
yes, I agree. Jasmine, did you have a question?
No more comment. And thank you to Ellen. My grandmother, I remember when I was little, she took me to plays and she said, Jasmine, this is an option for you. This is a choice. And you have to support the arts and you have to know that there's a world out there for you. And she made it exciting and fun. We went to dinner after and talked about it. And that's my introduction to the arts. And for my daughter too, we went to the Roby Theater last night at McKell's, and I was like, I know it's a little boring, I know it's a little slow, but you have to stay awake and stay. And it's a whole experience. I know because her generation is a phone,
I
and
know.
but I just want her to slow down a little bit and know that there's a life outside of the phone, and know that she's creative and she can be inventive and imaginative in her own way. So yes, I really appreciate your presentation. I really appreciate the arts now more than ever because politics does that. It says, hey, this is over here, but look, remember that we have the substance and the of the arts to hold us together. So I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
That's and you please come out. I would love to meet you eye to eye
Yes.
and bring your beautiful daughter.
Yes.
It's my granddaughter played young Wendy, and she was flying around the stage, and it's wonderful now what she wants to do. She's 15, and it's community, and it's what we all need so badly now with this
Yes.
digital world.
Yes.
I can't see everybody. I can't feel the breath.
Ipiani, our poet Ipiani has something to say.
Definitely, definitely. I wanted to say thank you for the beautiful narration reflecting on the history of the theater and time within your life. It was like you invited us to the table and share stories about your family and the way you described everything so vivid, like just amazing narration. I was wondering, what are a few of your favorite poets?
Emily Dickinson. I love and Walt Whitman, of course, who I was introduced to by my father, and Maya Angelou. We have a thing that I wrote for the school. It's called A Gathering of Poets. And it starts, the poets all gather from the different generations, and through their poems, they present for kids. It's one of my favorite pieces that goes out to the schools. Poetry is very, very important. You're a poet? Are you a poet?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
how exciting. Would you email me some poems?
I definitely will. If someone could get me your email address, or if you drop it in the chat, I could screenshot it, and I would love to share some of the poetry that I've created.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know how to do this.
If Yanni, I'll go ahead and email
Oh, that would be
you
great.
Ellen's email.
Yes, and please come up and see us. I I had a very difficult time, when the whole the blacklist. It's interesting. I did a play, and it was about the first black congressman in the United States Congress, and I put it together through a novel called oh God, I hope I remember the name. Water. It'll come to me as I'm talking. She was a white writer living in Carolina, South Carolina, and Gerald Rivers. And I had been talking about doing something together. So he had narrated her novel. So he said, Ellen, look at this. I know you can put it together. So I did. I spent a year putting this wonderful novel, Trouble the Water. Okay. Not Trouble the Mind. We've done that play here. And then they did it in New York. We're way ahead of them. And so Trouble the Water. And I worked so hard on it. And we were going to do it together because Gerald had always wanted to direct, and we were going to, launch that. Then an email came, and they were angry that a white person was doing this. And I said, I don't need to do it. I don't need to do it. This is just something that our company member and I want to do together. It was a rough period there. So I finished the script, and we did exactly what they said. We got a dramaturge who happened to be Gerald's manager, who was really smart as with dramaturgy, and then we also had to have a consultant. This was hard on us because it was a big budget change for us. But with my pulling out, we were able to do it. And I only came in towards the end of rehearsals, because the script was so precious, worked so hard on it. And I remember then that people came from the group who were upset with, and I had the playwright there. She came from Carolina, a lovely white lady just sitting there. We had two of us sitting there, and there was such consternation about it. And I know I kept saying, but the important thing is, it's being done. That's what's important. And it was a hard period. I don't think that's happening as much now, but I wanted to share that with you. What I went through the same thing with La Raza. There was nothing in the schools about Latino history. There was just nothing there, and we would go, but there's nothing there. So I put together something called La Raza, and it went all the way to Aztecs. It went all the way back, and I got the same difficulty. And it's just so important that we all blend. That's what I'm after with our group, even with the DEIA, which we have had in our group. But now if you have it, I've said to the DEIA, you come and just be part of our staff meetings. It's always been part of our culture. We are inclusive to our very bones. And we don't have to make lists and show, and just let us be, and if there's some way we can blend the Roby Theater. Gil is a friend of ours. He's been on our stage, and I would like us to blend more and not have this kind of theater and that kind of theater and this kind of this. I think that's what will help us get through this period of separation, isolation. Did I speak too much?
Oh, no. So this has been amazing. And like I said, I grew up in Southern California. So this is I'm very lucky that it's always been part of the firmament that I've had coming through school theater and community theater. And I was very moved by when we first started talking, before we even started the program, when you helped me put into context the time that we're in, and that the idea that, well, every 10 years or so something like this comes up. And I think those of us that have been involved in like the progressive movements and things like that don't realize that there have been other people that have dealt with the same types of issues over the decades,
Yeah.
and have that context that they can put into it, where we are going through our own version of the HUAC and the McCarthy era. And I really wanted to just thank you for that. And it is a physics, a pendulum works, and all it needs to do is swing back the other way, and we can help facilitate that. So I wanted to thank you very much for your
I know that I was listening to the radio something, and there were two English women talking, and it's something my daughter was talking about. And she says, "Oh, those poor Americans, they can't have abortions anymore. It's such big." I thought, my God, they're talking about our country. It's incredible. I mean, I say to my kids, I say, all I want to do is live long enough that equality for women happens because I really think we can help turn this around in a way, these pendulums going back and forth, in a way that would be very, very good. And I think many white men will and black men will understand that and help us. There.
I agree with you. And we used to be a matriarchal species.
That's right. I'm writing something on the bonobos. You know about the bonobos. Oh my God, they're the closest ape to man, and they're matriarchal society. They aren't all messed up about sex. It's all, everything is a part of the whole. And yeah, I want to do it. It's a story that I read. Do we have time for this, or should I shut?
No, that's fine.
It's a story, a wonderful piece of writing I read. And what happened is, and I've been wanting to do it for years, but everybody gets too shocked by it. But I think we're getting unshockable now. And this wonderful couple, the kind of hippies, and they lived out up north, which is very sections of it, very redneck. And anyway, she wants children so bad. It was during the period when you just don't have children, like what's happening now. Many of the young people can't afford to have children, have families. And she gets kicked out of school because she was teaching Darwin to her kids up there. And so she needs to do something, and her best friend says, there is this scientific lab they're trying to keep bonobos alive because they're being killed by poachers, in the Congo, which is where they are, in a group down there. And they're looking for somebody to house the eggs so it would no way cross and keep these babies alive. And so she does it. And it makes a mistake because the bonobo is much more forceful in their sperm. So this creature is born named Sage. I've named her Sage. Extraordinary human being. And at first, the parents worked so to get her to talk. She couldn't go to school because people, she had hairy legs and chest. But her mind was wonderful. And they were trying to figure out how to keep her safe because they're not going to live forever. They've created this beautiful human being, Sage. And it's all about how a very rich people came along and to take her and to present her all over the world, mainly because they were trying to work out a way for depopulation, less population. And apparently they have something, the bonobos, where they can keep from producing. It's within them. In this book, they put it into the tears. And so it's a very complex piece of work. I haven't finished it. I'm working hard on it, but I think it's fascinating. Did I shock anybody?
Not this group. No, that's awesome. That's I hope we see it on stage or something. That's awesome.
When people have enough guts.
Carol Francis, please.
Thank you. My best friend was a red diaper baby, and I'm wondering if you ever thought of creating a story, a play about growing up as red diaper babies of Will Geer, and that story I think would be fascinating.
I did it, and Haskell Wexler helped me, encouraged me. The wonderful photographer. It's called When the Dark Cloud Came.
It's called what?
When the Dark Cloud Came.
Are you going to do it again sometime?
I have been wanting to. When you have a whole organization, I would love to, and maybe next year it'd be a good year to do it. It's a good piece. It shows us. For instance, I remember the time we were in Las Vegas and just on the road, and we didn't. And living there, and how the librarians helped us and let us use their iron and their shower. There's some wonderful pieces of humanity in it. Yeah,
I'm sure. My second question is, Did you ever get students as far away as Watts to come to?
Oh, yeah.
Because I used to teach in Watts, and just the bus ride that far would be prohibited. But for kids from that area, just being in a place like Topanga would, even without the theater.
Yeah,
Just,
we do that. The buses line that they
oh,
line
that's
the road.
wonderful.
It's so wonderful, and all colors, all different. That's what I love
Yeah,
watching school days. It used to be all
yeah,
white people in plaid skirts, and now now it's a total mixture. And the joy is to see the Latinx, the Black, and the Chinese. I mean, it's everything that we have now because that's what's here. That fills our space now. That's
oh,
next theater people. Yeah.
right. My last question's to the group, and that's about getting a ICUJP delegation to a play in Theatricum Botanicum.
Ooh, a group sale.
Yeah, I mean, we could carpool.
Oh, I would love it. And then you could talk afterwards in the shelter. Oh, God, yes.
Yeah, so if anybody, I don't know if you could just like indicate, raise your hand if you're interested in.
Jasmine did.
Yes, did.
Wasn't high enough, but I saw it.
I think no, I think that'd be good. We can talk about that we have a board meeting today, so
Yeah.
that's something we can definitely put
That'd be
together.
lovely. We had Ed Rampell out there. We did a whole thing on salt of the earth and all the
Mm.
younger generation of the salt and the earth people, you know, because they finished the film up here in Topanga,
Yeah.
came, you know, it was a wonderful gathering.
Yeah, I was there for Salt of the Earth. I
Oh,
was
were you?
there for Rachel Corey.
Oh, good. Great.
Yeah, I'm glad. Dave, you had your hand up.
Yeah, one of my most memorable experiences at the Theatricum was seeing that play of yours, which Carol Francis mentioned, and A Dark Cloud Came. And Carol Francis asked if you might revive the play, and that was a question that I had too. And it seems to me that there's a new blacklist now around Palestine, and I'm thinking of a young student at New York University who made a speech at his commencement. He was chosen to make a speech, and he said, "I want to say that the genocide currently occurring is supported politically and militarily by the United States." And he was roundly condemned for saying that, and New York University is withholding his diploma.
Ah.
And a representative in Congress from Florida condemned him as well. And regarding the diploma, he said, "This is Jared Moskowitz is the representative from Florida," and he said, "You know, in fact, NYU can give him his diploma. It's not going to matter. Good luck getting a job."
Yes.
So I think it might be time for you to bring back the play, which is the story of your family. Good luck getting a job.
No, I know it was.
And I want to thank you for all the work you've done over the years.
Well, I remember Pop after we came back. He couldn't get a job. He couldn't get a job at all. And the first thing he did, well, I remember holding up signs for the Rosenbergs, you know, wandering around and getting kicked off the street because we had the Rosenberg signs, you know, and Pop was running for a supervisor or something. Of course, he didn't get it, but the man he was running against was somebody from the Klan. It was an amazing period. And then John Houseman brought him, and Montgomery Clift brought him back to New York, Phoenix, because it was so bad here. Yeah. Onward.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was on mute. The communications person was not communicating. Anthony, you had your hand up.
Oh, I just wanted to say that I was excited about the idea of our going to the theatricum together as a group. I love the idea, and I was so inspired this morning, and just your vitality, Ellen, just amazes me.
I
And
don't know where it comes from.
thank you.
I'm 83. Isn't that remarkable?
Wow. Well, you don't look it, sound it, or
I'm excited. I want equality before I die. That's all I'm really after. I'm working on a Greek piece now, going back to the Greek myths, right? So who the heck made up the gods? Who the heck made up
Mm.
the Bible? The man. So I want to do it from the woman's point of view.
I still think, and this was a revival a few years ago in different theaters, but Liz Estrada is still a
We've done
uh,
it 3 times.
yeah.
The last one we did, I made it happen in Washington, D.C. All the women came from all over the world to this park that was protected by the Vietnam soldiers.
Mhm.
And the president finally, it was such a mess. The president came, and they couldn't move him. But it was a wonderful working it that way. But it was during a period when we did it. It was it's a wonderful works that way.
Yeah,
To have somebody from Palestine come, and
that'd be great.
it's good.
Steve.
Ellen, is there did your dad write a memoir or an autobiography, or is there a book about his life and his struggle, or any articles about that?
There's articles all over, but what I have, again, I just, to keep this place going and pop, I mean, it's in the back room, all these archives, the Library of Congress, I think will take it, is he, just the horticulture book. But there's a woman who came by the theater and she did a thesis for Occidental College. And it is a wonderful thesis, and it has everything about pop in it. Beautifully done, very detailed. I don't know how I have one copy, but that's where that is. And it's
Offline,
everything about pop.
Rick and I will work. What's the name of that author of the
I've
thesis?
got to go it's Susan somebody.
Okay.
It's at
Well,
Occidental College. It was her thesis years and years ago.
all
And
right.
if you write me, I can have the paper in front of me and tell you what it is.
Yes, of course. So offline, Rick and I will work with you on that. Among other things, we'll work on with you because when we post this talk online, Rick often embeds resources and links to other materials that
Great.
viewers can see and watch, because I would love to dig even deeper into his life.
Oh,
In that vein, go ahead.
extraordinary life.
In that
Extraordinary.
vein, we have about 7 minutes. Uh, were there heroes in that period? There's so much capitulation to Trump. Law firms are capitulating.
Oh,
Universities are capitulating. Even, they're giving consent in advance, as it's talked about. But in your dad's experience, were there heroes and heroines that stood up for him, employed him, and resisted what was going on?
well, as I say, some of the Hollywood community hired him as a gardener. And we all did that with him in the back of the truck. We would go into Hollywood in the fancy homes and garden, and then we would get paid cash. They all thank Forrest Granger. I mean, there were very many people. I still have people coming up to me today, really deeply moved, apologizing. I know I got very mad when they had some award at SAG and they were honoring the blacklisted people. I found myself so angry. You know, so it's terrible. You have to really work on that as a human being. You know, where were you when it was happening? You know, because it's a huge community. We had some like Lauren Bacall, Humphrey Bogart, you know, those kind of people who went and were fighting against it. But it was a terrible period for the workers. You know, Dalton Trumbo and Dan Bessie wrote a film called Hard Track? I'm not sure what it was, the name of the film. But, you know, a lot of writers could go to Mexico, or they could change their names. For an actor, no. All you got is your face and your talent, you know, and the way you act, you know. There's different kinds of actors. You've got the star actors who are like Arn Bloom again. You've got your actors who are just personalities and do beautiful work. And then you've got your actors, but all you've got is your face. And that was taken away for so many wonderful actors. You know. But so I'm very grateful to Equity, our union, and that New York didn't fall under it.
And was there a moment then when, you know, some of the blacklisting fell away, and then your dad began to get some work in television?
Otto Preminger said, okay, if you will keep the crumbs off your tie, I'm going to put you into executive action.
Mhm.
And he did that film and it was in the same room where he was blacklisted, one of his scenes. Yeah. It's a very good film, Executive Action, and he got back to work, you know, did Seconds, and he did some marvelous films in his later years. And we have, as a family, we did a film. Another one of the wonderful things about Pop was he was deep into 13th century mystery miracle plays, and he taught it, and. So we did a film with him, which is my favorite film, and because he was alive, and he played Abraham, and I played Isaac, and my mother was in it, and my son was in it, and we shot it out at the Getty Museum, but it was out in their back lot, which we got for free by singing madrigals in their Shakespeare garden, which we did. And some lovely actors are in it. It's very sweet. Encyclopedia Britannica was the one who paid for it originally. Yeah.
You know, there were always enablers. Sadly, and you may know this, when I came out to California, I joined a law firm, Gang, Tire, and Brown. Martin Gang was the senior partner. And sadly, he was an enabler during the blacklist to name names, and he facilitated people who wanted to name names, Sterling Hayden and others. I don't know if the name Martin Gang ever crossed your world. But I mean, we have the authoritarians, and then we have the enablers.
Enablers.
Right, right.
Yeah, and that's happening now too.
Exactly.
We don't know. We don't know who's going to knock on our door. You know, that was the big thing for me when we had a lot of money. Pop was in films, and we had beautiful quilts. I had a Schwinn bike, you know, we all had Schwinn bikes. And then there was a knock, knock, knock on the door. And there's my mother nursing her Tad, and I was by her, and she was lying. I saw Pop run into the closet and shut the door, and Mom was lying. Is Mr. Geer here? No. No, he's on location. And I looked, what is Mom lying about? You know, that was the beginning of it, you know. And she took the pink piece of paper, which was his call to Washington. Yeah.
I see Rose has her hand up.
Yeah, very simple question from a foreigner who has heard about McCarthy but doesn't much about it. I mean, how many years did it last, this life?
10. I'd say 10, because the next thing you know is Pop was invited to do Grandpa Walton. And it took a lot of work for the author to make that happen. Grandpa Walton on the Waltons, it was over 10 years.
10 years, wow, that's a long time.
It was a long time. And
most of your childhood, in fact.
Oh yeah, I went to about 14, 15 different schools.
Yeah.
College,
Hmm.
well, I didn't go to college. We didn't have money to go to college.
Hmm.
Yeah, it does. It lasts a long time for people. And then it stays in your heart. And some of my family members have never been able to deal. It's not something that, it's like
Hmm.
alcoholism or drugs or things that happen to us as human beings.
Right. And I mean, this is totally aside. I did send Rick a private message. If you do work out a trip to Botanicum, please loop me in, even though
Oh,
I'm not on the board anymore.
good.
Okay.
You can meet, what we
Thank
do
you.
before our school days every day, we have something I put together, Queen Elizabeth and Shakespeare, and they talk to the kids. And it's one of the kids' favorite things to do. They learn about Elizabethan culture versus their own, and Queen gets horrified by all those naked young ladies. The way they're dressed today.
That's
Well,
funny.
coming to our time where we're going to have some closing activities, but this is a moment, Ellen, with speakers like you that I, as chair, have special privileges, and I am granting you lifetime membership
Ooh,
as a card-carrying member of ICUJP. So
okay.
you are in good standing. If life on a Friday morning ever opens up for you at 7:30, please join us for this kind of program.
Will you continue to send me the link, or do I just
Yes,
memorize that?
yeah,
Oh, lovely.
Yep.
Rick will get you on the mailing list.
Yeah, for sure. I can do that. This has been great. Thank you very much.
And I want to thank Rick. He was inspired to reach out to you. This has been such a inspiring program. I think we've already identified ways that we can work together on theater programs and other activities. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.
Please
Thank you
stay
very
with
much.
us if you have a few minutes. Our closing, I think, can be very inspiring. And I don't know if Ruby stepped away, so I'll leave the closing to you, Rick and Greg.
Yeah. I think, let me take a look here. I think Dick Bunce was still with us. Is he gone? Yeah, he might be. Yeah, Doc Ruby, if you don't mind, when we get to the end, if you can do the closing for us. If not, we will, this is a program on theater, so we will improvise. Um, there was one, I know this is a part of the program where we have announcements. And I know that Randy Heinlam put in the chat that there's going to be a press conference at 10:30 at the Islamic Center in Vermont regarding unfortunately a recent graffiti attack on the building. If anybody out there would like to show support, please do so. Rose just told me the Topanga Fiddle Festival is this Sunday. So I was talking about that. And there's also a link in there about um, the book that Ellen was talking about, Troubled Water, Jacqueline Friedland. There's a link to, if you want to check it out from Powell's. And let's see, are there any other announcements? Jasmine?
Family Soul is having a Malcolm X festival tomorrow. It's from 12 to 7 in the Mert Park Village.
Great. Sounds good. I think if that's the announcements, and this is the time of the program where we lift up friends, family, people's situations that you want to cast into the universe and send good thoughts out to. So please, if go ahead and do so if you'd like.
Can I just make one announcement before we do it? I'm sorry. Wednesday, May 21st, 4 p.m. in front of the Hall of Injustice. In downtown LA, Black Lives Matter is doing their 5-year anniversary for George Floyd. So they normally get together and do this rally every Wednesday, but this one is special and they're asking everyone to come out because it's to remember George Floyd.
Yep. And Michael Novick, you raised
Yeah,
your
there are
hand.
2 demonstrations tomorrow. Yesterday was the 77th anniversary of the Nakba, which is still continuing. 2 p.m. there'll be a rally at the Zionist consulate on Wilshire Boulevard. Earlier that same day, tomorrow, UTLA is doing a Stop Trump and Musk Attacks at SpaceX, which is something like One Rocket Road or something in Hawthorne, but it's basically right by the Crenshaw stop on the Green Line, or just south of the 105 at Crenshaw. That's from 11 to 1 tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So once again, this is the time of the program where we lift up people and place and situations that we would like to get some positive and positive thoughts and positive motion towards. So if anybody would like to do that, please unmute and do so.
My fellow church member, Greta, and family.
Great.
And I'll ask people again to lift up Greg Foisey from Veterans for Peace, longtime peace activist and peace educator, who's been dealing with the need for dialysis and it's having an effect on his heart right now, which has been very debilitating to him.
I would like to lift up Eloise Gomez Reyes, as well as Humanity and the Gift of Life.
Thank you.
To lift up Ty, Medea Benjamin's life partner. He was at our last action in Santa Monica in front of Tesla. He was hit by a car while riding his bike in DC to a protest. And this was just a week after he was on the Conscience that was bombed by Israel in Malta. He survived that bombing. And then he came back to DC and was hit by a car. Now he's in the hospital with 13 broken ribs, broken pelvis. But he's got high spirits and just going to lift him up for a full recovery, peace, and pain-free.
Thank you for relaying that. We should, we'll talk during the board meeting about sending some notes and good thoughts to Medea as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, Dr. Ruby, if you would like to close us out, that would be great. Let's see here. Maybe give her just a second, and if not, then I'm sure we can, like I said, improvise. Okay. So,
Rick, let's try this. Ellen, do you, and this is totally unfair to you, putting you on the spot, do you have a poem? Do you have something that you reflect on in moments of hope that comes to mind that you might share with us?
Always with me, it's the children. I think of the next generation. I just want to hug every one of them and help any young person whom you see. Give them love, give them encouragement, give them hope. That to me is how I get through life.
Ah, lovely, lovely. Thank you. I do see Ruby on the screen. Do you have
And
a
I
quiet?
just want to say, I don't know if you can hear me. I do have a background here, but Ellen, thank you for your work. I mean, it is so grateful because it's so needed. And one thing that I didn't realize, and when I became more of an activist rather than the theater, that I could do both. And so supporting the children now, that yes, there is their creative energy, is good, for whatever they're coming up with in their minds, hearts, and spirit is good. And just your continued work, as a seniors, these seniors that are coming thinking they don't have anything else to do, or they can, they have a vision and there is work for them to do. So I know right now that for all that's been expressed here at this meeting, and with the love that this loving spirit, Ellen, is truly created all, and for her family, and for just each and every board member in ICUJP, it's all God. It's all the power. It's all the energy and thing, whatever way it is. And it continues to grow and be enlightened in the now. And I'm grateful for all the healings right now that we spoke about for this young man, and also for my son, who was also hit by a bicycle. He was riding a bicycle 2 weeks ago and was at a market and a car hit him. So, and for anyone else who hasn't spoken, we see the healings there, that all molecules and atoms, all parts of their bodies are just being balanced and reorganized. I'm grateful for the peace of mind of something that has not been spoken, that the healing is already there. And I'm grateful for the continued work of this thing we called ICUJP. And I just give it all to the divine, no matter the nationality, no matter the colors, no matter anything, that this is a world coming together in unity, patience, love, power, and peace. And I just give it all up in thanksgiving and prayer. And I say, amen. Hallelujah.
Amen. Thank you,
Hallelujah. Yeah.
Ruby. Thank you, Ellen. Thanks, Greg, for kicking us off, and Rick for corralling the cats and keeping things going. Thank you, Carol Francis, for beautiful reflection that began our morning. We wish you well. Stay healthy. Be careful. Do something good for kindness and peace and justice this coming week. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.